Good day and greetings from the Great White North. My name is Prickly Poo and welcome to day 363 of a year change. We have today, tomorrow, and the next day. And our year is up. We're getting very, very close. And as it gets closer, I'm making farting noises with my hands. Sorry. There we go. Sorry. As we get distracted right at the very beginning. As we get closer to the end, I am getting a little bit anxious because I've talked about this before. I'm not quite sure where things are headed from here on in. I've got a few goals in mind. I have some things I want to continue. I know that I'm going to still be updating things like that. But it is going to be a little bit different because right from the very beginning, a lot of what we've been doing over the past year has just been sort of we had some long-term goals in mind. We knew that by the end of the year we wanted to change how we looked at food and how we viewed it and everything else. But a lot of the changes that we've been doing have been very short-term. And although, we can talk all we want about, continuing on after this, saying that we need support. That's an important part of it. To keep tracking, you have an idea as to, I want to be able to continue my exercise. I want to be able to improve on that. I want to keep adapting and evolving as things go. But again, those are all very short-term goals. They don't really have, they aren't finite, I guess is probably the best way to put it. Not exactly that they're short-term because it's a continuing process, but there's something a little bit different about them than, having some, just leaving it wide open and just saying, I'm going to continue on what I'm doing. I'm going to keep exercising and keep improving. And, at some point you have to ask yourself, to what end? And it can be a little daunting, I guess, at the beginning and even now it still feels like it's the beginning. It's been a year, but planning far out enough. I know that my weight, I want it to be around 175. And at that point, then I know I want to start, not do bodybuilding stuff, but increase the types of exercise I'm doing so that, I guess, for lack of a better term, so I can sort of sculpt things a little bit better. So I'm not just thin with leftover skin. I want it to be presentable. So I have some very vague goals like that, but I don't have a timeline for it. I don't have anything that says, 6 months from now, here's where I'm going to be, and 12 months from now, here's where I'm going to be. This is my goal. I want to accomplish this on this date and everything else, because we haven't really had to. Over the course of this year, it's really been, seeing how things work out during the week, and then at the beginning of the next week, say, okay, I think this is where this is going over the next week or two, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to just start. With us, it was just starting tracking with food and then adding water, adding fruits and vegetables, and then started to trade up some of our worst snacks for some better ones. So it's always been very sort of short term. It hasn't really been anything. I don't think I've really planned out any more than a month ahead of time for anything throughout this entire year. I have a rough idea where I'd like to be. I knew that, we need to finish off the food stuff. I want to do 3 weeks of that and 3 weeks of sugar and stuff like that, which, of course, part of what we've been doing as well has just been, learning to adapt all the time. And any of the plans that I've had have kind of gone off kilter a little bit. And especially during the last little bit when I was continuing on with the exercise stuff, I thought, we'll keep the same schedule. And that has just gone right out the window. Mainly just because trying to sort of keep track of everything and trying to find some good exercise videos, it's really difficult to do where it's not just a workout video, which is not what I wanted. We had a couple that we found that were very informative and were good and stuff like that, but in general, we've always tried to be very malleable throughout everything, so that if something does come up, then we can accommodate it, and not just with what our schedule might be or what our plans might be 3 or 6 months down the road, but even something that sort of jumps out at us from nowhere. To give you an idea, finishing off this week, and I've got I have today and tomorrow, and my week is done. So I have 2 days left to at least lose some weight. And I have made some progress this week. It's not great, but it is progress. So I wanted to have at least my last week. I didn't want to end my last week on a plateau. That would have been really bad. And I got a call, or a text, a message, a note, bird, pigeon. And there's a friend of mine that is coming in from another province, another state, for those of you down in the States. So that tonight, as you're watching this, at some point tonight, we're all going out. Now, this is something I did not plan for, obviously. I have not heard from this person in quite a while, so it wasn't anything that was on my radar. I was thinking, okay, I'll finish the week out. It'll be good. I'll finish on a positive note. So, of course, I need to temper. Okay, well, I need to go. I want to be able to go out and spend time with them and enjoy myself and not worry about anything. With yes, but I don't want to get to a point where the small amount of progress I have had during this week is going to be undone. And I know we've talked about it before, saying, it's not going to undo everything you've done for the week, but when you've had very small amount of progress this week, it's very easy to say, okay, well, if I'm going to go out with a night with friends, then yeah, it kind of might, especially where my weigh-in is Sunday, right away. So I've got, I would have just today, well, tonight, as I'm out there, then I have Saturday to recuperate, and that's it. And there's no way it's going to happen. So something like that is going to obviously jump in from time to time in your life. So we need to be able to adapt to stuff like that, which is fine. But I think what I'm really talking about, even though I sort of went off on a tangent there, is trying to set out some long-term goals. But the problem with that is you can set them out as far ahead as you need to. Like, I know that I'm going to need to continue tracking at least for another year. If not longer. I know that within the next year I have some certain goals I want to reach. I don't really have a timeline for it. I don't know when I'm going to hit 175 for my weight. I suspect it's going to be 9 months from now. But I also have an idea that I want to do different types of exercise so that it's not just, okay, now I'm at the weight I want to be. Now I can start doing like weights or something. I want to start before then so that it'll just sort of be doing the two things at the same time. I don't have a time frame for that. But the problem with that is that by planning so far out and saying, well, this is exactly what I'm going to do, if there's anything that sort of, gets in the spokes, it throws you off. And of course, then you're just like, oh, well, what's the point? And you get frustrated and everything else. So although I think it's very important for us to have some long-term goals, just keep in mind that those aren't set in stone. It's nothing that there's never, ever going to be anything that you're going to be able to say on this date, this is what I want to do. And have it actually go through without a hitch. It might. You might say, 6 months from now, I want to lose another 30 pounds. You might hit that. That's very attainable. But something may happen. You may not be able to hit that goal. You might surpass that goal. Being able to be adaptable, that's fine. Being adaptable and being able to change, your goals as they progress, I think is going to be very important for the next little while. For me, I keep saying next little while, but I'm thinking 2 and 3 years out is probably when I'm finally going to be where I want to be. Ideally, in my head, I'm thinking I'd like to be where I want to be in a year, but I don't think that's actually going to happen. So I'm going to give myself a couple of years buffer to do that. And I know that it's a long term, it's a continual thing, so I'm not really stressed out about it and thinking, I've got to have this done by 1 year from today. I know it's going to be continuing. I know that it's sort of at a stage where I want to just keep improving, and they may change. My goals may change again. I might get down to 175 and go, I'm a little too thin. It doesn't look right. So, not so I can start adding more fat, but I'll need to add muscle or something, just so that it doesn't look weird. That's something that I worry about. The loose skin, which we've talked about a couple of times, I know that's going to be even more of a problem. I have another 50 or 60 pounds to lose, and I'm noticing the skin now. So another 50 or 60 pounds, that's something I'm going to need to deal with. I don't really have any plans for that, but I know it's something that eventually I'm going to have to handle. And at that point, then I'm going to have to start looking at, okay, what are options for this? Is there something I can do to sort of minimize the amount that's there? Is it just always going to be there? Am I going to have to just, use a scrunchie? I don't know what I'm going to be doing. But either way, I think it's good for us to have some long-term goals, like 3 months out, 6 months out. It doesn't have to be a hard number, though. You don't have to say, okay, well, 3 months, I want to be this weight. I want to be able to lift this much weight on, I was going to say treadmill, which you don't use, on a weight machine. There we go. At a gym, I want to be able to run a 5K, and I want to, go vegan. You don't have to have a hard hard target, I was going to say. I'm screwing all this up once again. You don't have to have a hard date and say, well, I need to to get it on this date. And then, because, I mean, if you don't reach it, then you're going to beat yourself up. And that's one thing that we've been really good at throughout this entire year. There hasn't really been anything that, I mean, there have been a few things where I think, like this week, I really would have liked to have hit 100 pounds by the end of the year. So I could say, oh, I lost 100 pounds in a year. But then part of me is also thinking, well, I had lost a little bit of weight before I started the actual channel. And, that's what sort of prompted it, that I wanted to keep going that way. So I can't really count those. This is actually from my heaviest. And then there have been ups and downs and everything else. So, I mean, I've gone past halfway. So I'm very pleased with that. So there's at least a bit of a milestone there that I can look at. But that was a goal that's just sort of, it's gone. It's going to be so close, too. So close. Less than 5 pounds difference. But I know that it's coming eventually. Same thing with the treadmill. I wanted to be able to keep improving as I go. And I would have liked to have been farther than I am right now. But I know it's going to happen eventually. So I have some ideas, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, where I want to be. But there's nothing that I'm looking at going, well, if I don't hit that mark, then I'm going to get disappointed or I'm going to get frustrated or anything else. And I think part of that is because we've been so adaptable throughout this entire year that the basis of it was to do a change every single week. So of course we started losing more than we thought, or we would lose less than we thought. Exercise wasn't working and this type of food wasn't working. We were learning new information that we could apply to the following week. And I think it's very important to keep doing that, to keep adapting and keep changing your goals. If you're looking ahead and saying 6 months, this is where I want to be, and you're getting to the 4 or 5 month mark and you're thinking, I'm not even close to where I want to be, but I've been doing everything right, I'm still improving and things like that, you can push that out. Because it doesn't matter like whether you're losing the weight that you want within 6 months or a year or 2 years, you're still going to eventually lose it. And you're going to get healthier, you're going to be able to do more exercise, you're going to be more active in general. So if you can try to keep those goals a little more fluid, I think it's going to be much, much better. And we're going to mitigate a lot of the frustration that comes with dieting and exercise and all the stuff that we've dealt with for so long, where you think I need to lose 20 pounds, in 30 days. That's sort of like the benchmark for a lot of stuff that you'll see, like 10 pounds in 10 days or 20 pounds in 20 days or, lose 50 pounds in 8 minutes. It's just all of these things. There's that sort of, you need to do this now because you have a deadline or you have an event that you're going to or something where you feel like, okay, I need to starve myself and double up on the exercise. But we've tried so hard to keep this as something that's sustainable for life, and I think that we've done that. And part of that is being able to look at how we are right now and say, okay, I still have a tremendous amount of work I need to do, but I don't have a deadline to it. Maybe that's probably the best way to look at it, is just we can certainly set goals and say, like, okay, I know that 1 year from now, well, I'm actually going to cut that way back, just from stuff that's happened this week, which I'll get into tomorrow, that 6 months from now, I want to be able to jog a 5K. Originally it was, a year from now, that's what I want to be able to do, is to be able to do a 5K. But just the way things have been progressing, I think it's going to be a lot sooner than that. So, that's going to happen as well. We are going to we're going to have to push our goals out sometimes. Weight loss is a prime example of that. I thought, 150 pounds, I should be able to do that in a year. Now I'm like, let's do 2 years. That's probably going to be a little bit better. I think it's going to be, 9 months roughly. So 17, no, I can't do math. 12 and 9 is 21. There we go. So 21 months. 17, where the hell did I get 17 months from? So 21 months, almost 2 years worth, is roughly what I'm looking at for, from beginning to end for the weight loss thing. But as far as exercise goes, that's sort of been adapting back and forth, and this week really sort of took a big chunk out of it. So I think 6 months is realistic for what I want to do. As far as starting, doing other exercises, like with a gym or with weights or something like that, I have a vague idea in my head that I want to start it relatively soon. And I think part of that is, I'm thinking, okay, well, once I can go in somewhere and say, I want to start doing this exercise and this exercise, no matter what their reaction is, if it's good or bad, or they give me that traditional one that I've always seen, which is like, you might not be ready for that yet. At least I'll be able to come back with, no, I've lost 100 pounds since, the last time I tried to do this. So this isn't something that I'm going to join up and then never come over to my buddy's house to exercise. So I think it's fine to have goals far out, but I think it's very important that we just sort of get into that mindset that we have been throughout this entire year, stay in that mindset, probably the best way to put it, of being able to change that. That if something turns out better or something is, turning out worse, that we can change those, and it doesn't, get us to a point where we don't want to do it anymore, that we don't want to continue on, we don't want to keep improving because it's too far out, that we're looking ahead and going, it's a year away for me to get to that goal. What's the point? It's going to take too long. I'm too frustrated. I don't want to do it anymore. We could have said that a year ago. And really, when you look back, a year is a very short amount of time. It seems long while you're in it. But once everything's all done, you think, I remember when I first started out, and even now when I go back and look at videos from the first week, it looks so different. And they're terrible. They're just incredibly bad all the way around. They're still bad. Don't get me wrong. I understand that. But at least I'm hoping at some point you're getting some information out of it. It's a bit entertaining and you're not just going, oh my God, shut the fuck up. Although chances are you are, because you've been going on for about 20, 25 minutes for the past week. And for the past year, really. So anyway, how far are we go? Okay, you know what? We're trying to keep things under 20 minutes. So I'll say that now so that it gives me another half hour to talk. So in general, when we're looking at the next year, if you want to plan things out 3 months and 6 months and 9, whatever you have in mind, whatever you have set out for yourself, and it might be the sort of thing where you have, each week planned out saying, here's what I want to be doing, week to week, and keep improving this way, even if it's a slow build, if it's something that you just want to sort of dive in, that's certainly fine. If you want to just do things every 6 months, say 6 months from now, this is where I want to be, and a year from now, this is roughly where I want to be, and then 2 years, whatever your plan is to continue on with this, just remember that, throughout this entire year, we've had quite a few good ideas. And, although we've sort of tried to keep with them from time to time, we simply just can't control everything. So being adaptable and being, open to change and being flexible with not just your schedule, but your timeline in general is going to be very helpful. So that if you think, I can advance things a little bit, or no, I need to push that out a bit because I'm not anywhere near where I want it to be. Even that little bit, normally it would be something that we would just get so frustrated we would want to quit. But I think because of what we've gone through over this past year, it's changed us enough that we can look at it and say, okay, well, you know what? I thought it was going to take me 2 months. It's going to take me 5. But we can continue on. We know that we're just going to keep going. And it doesn't matter how fast it goes or how slow it goes or how effective you feel that it is at the time. If you can still look out and realistically say, 5 months from now, I'm going to be able to reach this goal, whether it's a scale goal, a number, a pant size, it doesn't matter what it is. If it's something that you can say, I'm going to keep trying for this, I'm going to be able to change, I'm going to be able to keep improving to get to that point, then who cares how long it takes? We'll be able to reach it eventually. And for me, I'm looking at, in the immediate future anyway, the next year really is what I'm looking at. And I have 2 or 3 different ideas as to what I want to do. Those will probably change, and things might get closer, things might get farther away. But I think it's still very important for us to keep planning out, to not just sort of stop and say, okay, well, I'm where I need to be for food. I'm not at a stage right now where I can say, okay, well, I just keep eating the way that I'm eating. Everything will be fine. I'll keep exercising the way I'm exercising, and everything will even out in the end. Right now, at my current weight, then yeah, things are sort of working out. I'm still losing. I'm still exercising. I'm staying active and things like that. But as I start losing more weight, I'm going to need to do more. I'm going to want to do more. I'm going to want to improve more. And it just like, eating the 12,000 calories a day compared to 2,000, if we're stuck, if we're stagnant, then eventually we're going to hit that plateau because we're now just expending the same amount that we're taking in. And eventually, that's going to get frustrating. You're not going to want to change it again. And then you're going to start eating more, or you're going to start doing less. And that's a big fear of mine, that I don't want to get back into that, where we fought so hard over the past year to get where we are. I want to keep going. And I'm hoping that those among you that are still watching still want to do that as well. That you'll get to a point where you can look to the 3-month mark and 6 months beyond and, a year past that to be able to say, these are my little markers that I want to put out. Say, this is where I want to be. This is what I want to be able to do. This is what my weight should be. But being able to change that, it doesn't matter if it's, month to month or week to week or, year to year. I was going to say day to day, but day to day, you're just being impatient. Give it time. You got to figure out whether or not stuff is working. But no matter how far out you're planning, just keep in mind that it's not written in stone. It's not something that if you don't hit your mark, like if I don't hit my 175 9 months from now, it doesn't matter. It's not going to be something that, well, it obviously failed. So, no, I've lost 100 pounds almost at this stage. I know it's going to keep working. And when those plateaus hit, when it starts dragging on for 3 and 4 weeks, I'll know that I need to make a change, obviously. It's not just going to be a matter of me saying, well, it's a little bit of a plateau, so that might extend it out. I might have to do something that's going to, bring it closer to the date that I want. So it's just, it's going to be something that you'll be able to change. You'll be able to adjust whenever you need to. And I think that, along with the support and that structure that we've sort of built over the past year, is going to aid us in keeping on track and still losing the weight that we need to, staying active, and just basically keep on going on the path that we're going on, and keep the improvements coming. Because I think that's the main thing, that whether you still have another 300 or 400 pounds to lose, whether you hit your goal and now you're just working on exercise, whether you've hit your goal and your exercise and you want to maintain, I think that over the course of this year, because each change has been a small improvement, we've gotten used to it. And just keeping those improvements going is, it's a big motivator. More than the successes at times, more than, looking down at the scale and saying, oh, I lost 3 pounds this week. It's the fact that, I want to be able to do more. I know I can do a little bit more here. I can do a little bit more there. And being able to just to see the self-improvement, I think is a big thing. So anyway, and yeah, look at that. Went for another 6 or 7 minutes on that one. So we have just today and tomorrow, and then the week is done, and then our final day together. Well, sort of. I'm still going to be doing updates. So I think it's very important for me anyway to keep those updates going. I think it's going to be a weekly thing at least. Otherwise, I know I run the risk of just going, I don't need to worry this week. I don't have to talk to anybody. So I just go, oh, the 2 weeks were fine. Well, it should be first week. But we'll keep going. But for right now, I'm going to leave this video here. So thank you very much for watching. And if you liked it, please poke the like button for me. In the meantime, keep it warm and fuzzy, and I'll see you in the next video.